Hello there. A warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining the live chat session. Today's this week's first live chat. We'll have three live chats this week: Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. Let me welcome the participants. Then we will analyze deal, the declaration rather, agreed by Ethiopia and Somalia. Who is the casualty of this declaration? Who is the beneficiary of this declaration? Is it a diplomatic defeat for the Ethiopian PM? Is it a win for Hassan Sheikh? What about Egypt? What about Isas Afwerki, the president of Eritrea? What about Somaliland? Jawad criticized Abiy. Today, he criticized Abiy when Abiy signed MOU. Now, when MOU is being uh, we cannot say it's being cancelled, but now when uh, Somalia, Ethiopia are agreeing on some understanding, again, Jawad is opposing. We'll try to analyze the overall situation which is arising out of the declaration between Ethiopia and Somalia. Let me welcome the participants first. Elim Gizao, first viewer who joined today. Elim is a member too. Special welcome to Elim. If you want to be a member, click the link given in description section of the live chat or description section of videos. The link will take you to membership page. Members have special badges given to them. University Abreha, second member who joined, who commented today. He says, hello, Sajid, how is your family? Everyone is fine. My daughter's busy with their exams, Sarah, Arfa. So maybe after the exams, they'll be here on my Vision News for some time, for a few videos. We have Elim says, could there be a coalition between Fano and Jawar? Has he buried his bridge? Has he burned his bridge with Amhara, or is he slick enough? Okay, let me respond to Alim's question. Actually, Jawar wants to show himself as a national leader. He wants to free himself from ethnic politics. At the same time, he wants to continue having huge following in Oromia. He talks about Ethiopia. He wants to be seen as a nationalist politician. Otherwise, no alliance between Fano and Jawar, Tegarai or Jawar. Jawar is turning into a social media activist, basically, journalist rather. And the politicians, Ethiopian politicians, they can only speak when they're abroad. If they're in the country and they speak, they're bound to be arrested, bound to be put in prisons. So Jawar, Baklegarba, Amrira Gudina, others, they have become irrelevant, I think. They are just visible to the extent of their presence in social media. They have really no say in what is happening in Ethiopia and what will happen in Ethiopia. Mohammed has no more MOU. Uh, MOU has not been discarded. After 5 months, we'll talk about no more MOU or not. You'll see some lengthy negotiation between Ethiopia and Somalia because the two will start talks next month. Then within the 4 months after the start of talks, they'll reach some sort of agreement. Will they reach the agreement? Will the agreement be acceptable to both parties? So a long way to go. It's not that MOU has been totally discarded by Ethiopia. Ahmad Muhammad joined to welcome Ahmad says hi. Abdul Shakur says hi. Sajid, welcome. How are you, Abdul Shakur? Welcome to you too. Ming Hon joined too. He says he's been watching my Vision News for years, I know, and he's very interested in Somalia, Somaliland. Says, Sajid, do you think Trump will broker a peace deal between Somalia and Somaliland, and will he move to recognition? People say that Trump might recognize Somalia as a country. I don't know. He has been sympathetic towards Somaliland's cause of recognition, but the recognition of Somaliland as a country by US, I don't think it's going to happen in coming days, weeks, or months. Maybe we could see some progress towards it, but it would be a big decision. Taiwan wants recognition as well, Somaliland to some other self-declared countries as well. It's not easy, by the way. Recognition for Somaliland is not very easy. I think the closest Somaliland ever came to a recognition was through the MOU with Ethiopia. But this opportunity could not translate into a reality. Eritrean Post says Somalia needs to build a strong army to defend its own national borders. Somalia needs a centralized state instead of clan-based federation. Well, this is what I've been saying for months, Eritrean Post, that Somalia needs to build a strong military. Military free from ethnic influence, free from tribal influence, a purely professional army. You saw what happened in Jubaland. Federal forces just embarrassed themselves. 600 have taken refuge in Kenya. Kenyan news sources are confirming that 600 federal soldiers of Somalia fled into Kenya from Ras Kamboni. The Jubaland forces attacked them. The 600 will be returned now to Somalia. This is what Somalia's military is now. Somalia has very strong regional states. It needs to have a strong central government and strong military. This is what should happen, but the problem is successive governments in Somalia, federal governments could not work on building a strong military. Somalia was under arms embargo. Arms embargo has been lifted. I think Somalia should stop looking towards other countries for training, for building a strong military. It will have to build military on its soil. Turkish trained, Britain trained, US trained, Eritrea trained, Egypt trained soldiers cannot uh, make a strong, unified, cohesive organization. Eritrea will have to train its soldiers on its soil. It will have to buy Somalia, sorry. It will have to buy arms from other countries. It should know how to use its strategic location and how to use its natural resources. We have Jafar Jama says, Assalamu alaikum. Ilyas Milki has joined too. Brian Ibsahir too. Ilyas says, Abiy is not loyal, so no one can work with him, though he signed agreement with Mogadishu. Abdishakur says, the loser is despot Isas Afwerki. Wherever there is no war, the oldest despot is a loser. Average Dom says, the biggest casualty is Egypt. Matthew TV became a member of My Views and News. Welcome to Matthew TV, Matthews TV. Special welcome to our new member, Matthews TV. Gilana says, Abhi's next plan may be about Red Sea. Well, next, he needs to work on the current plan. I think it has not been finalized. John Spencer says, hello, Sajid. Where does this leave Isas after signing Type? Okay, I'll respond to it. Thank you, Matthews. Hajira joined to Hajira. Hajira is an Arabic name, I think. It's a female name. Hajira was the wife of a prophet. Is it the same name? Arabic name, Hajira, a female name? John Spencer says, how can a failed state like Somalia even begin to amass an army? Doesn't make sense. Yini Musica joined to welcome Yini. Yini is a member too. Special welcome. Gilana says, USA former foreign minister said that the next Al-Assad could be Afwerki. Yeah, you're talking about Tibor Nagy, I think. He's not foreign minister. I think he worked as ambassador to Ethiopia, and he's very critical of Isas Afwerki government. Everyone knows his views, but it's just a daydream, I would say. I don't think that Syria-like situation could happen in Eritrea, at least not in coming days, weeks, or months. Syria was the battleground of international players. There were regional players involved, to ethnic players, religious players. Syria was a very complex conflict. Just like Sudan, a little. It was more complicated than the conflict in Sudan, I would say. Perhaps this is Tibor's dream to destabilize Eritrea as well. Jafar says, given my legal background, there are many gray areas in the signed declaration between Ethiopia and Somalia. There's nothing definitive in this agreement I can find. It's a declaration, it's not an agreement, by the way. Agreement will be signed after negotiations. It's just a guideline. It is not an agreement. Am I right, Jafar? It's not an agreement. Ephraim Tisfaher to John. Elim says, what was the cost too high as far as offshore drilling and Turkey for Somalia? Yeah, Elim, this is the point I want to talk about. John Spencer, that was Hajar. Okay, Hajar. Hajar is a male name. Aman Washer joined to welcome Aman. Hajar means stone, I think, in Arabic. Hajar Aswad. Lucky Dad joined to say the winner is Egypt and Somalia, the loser are Ethiopia and Somaliland. A and N says, hi, it's a great live discussion. Thank you, N. Let's start, viewers, now. Can I start? Let me speak a little for a few minutes. Let me share my views about the agreement between Ethiopia and Somalia. Then I'll take your questions. I'll read your comments too. Who is the casualty of Ethiopia-Somalia declaration? Firstly, yes, Somaliland's Musi Abdi is the first casualty. He lost election. He could not implement the MOU. People were not happy with him, majority. That is why he lost. So he's the first casualty. There is no denying the fact that maybe Muslim Abdi won't be able to make it again to the president office. You can say that Ethiopian Abiy uh, played Muslim Abdi. Abdi was very active. He wanted quick implementation of the MOU. Ethiopia delayed. That delay cost Muslim Abdi. He lost election. Firstly, the first main casualty is Muslim Abdi. And the first main beneficiary, Turkey. Turkey is the main beneficiary of Ethiopia, Somalia, Ankara Declaration. Turkey has managed to secure its huge investments in Ethiopia. Turkey, signed oil, gas exploration deals with Somalia. Huge reserves of oil and gas have been found. Turkish exploration ship Orange Race is digging for oil and gas in Somali waters. No one knows what the agreement is between Ethiopia, between Turkey and Somalia. How much of these underwater resources will go to Turkey? How much to Somalia? No one knows. Hassan Sheikh, I've been saying, by the way, since the start of this year, that Hassan Sheikh should not sell Somalia's natural resources so cheap. But he was under pressure from Ethiopia. So he was quick to sign defense deals with Egypt and Turkey. Egypt did not demand anything from Somalia. Egypt only wanted its military foothold in Somalia. It did not demand anything in return from Somalia. Turkey, I think, took advantage of Somalia's vulnerability. Turkey knew that Hassan Sheikh was in trouble. Hassan Sheikh wanted a defense deal. That is why Turkey then saw the opportunity to sign an exploration deal for digging out oil and gas with Somalia. Now, by preventing a conflict in the Horn of Africa between Ethiopia and Somalia, Turkey has managed to protect its economic interests in both the countries. So, who is the real beneficiary? Turkey. Now, what about Somalia? Somalia has managed to repel, I would say, Ethiopian offensive, not the right word perhaps, offensive to recognize Somaliland as a country. Main concern for Hassan Sheikh government about the MOU was recognition of Somaliland as a country. Ethiopia has agreed to respect Somalia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. So the MOU has been made insignificant, you can say. We can say MOU has been frozen. Right word is MOU has been frozen. We cannot say it has been cancelled. MOU has been frozen. It is a diplomatic win for Hassan Sheikh's government that Ethiopia agreed to freeze the MOU. No mention of the establishment of any Ethiopian military base, naval base in Somalia in this Ankara declaration. If Ethiopia cannot establish a military base in Somalia, again, it would be a big win for Somalia. One has been opposing the MOU on two grounds. Firstly, it has been opposing the MOU because it contained the point about recognition of Somaliland. Secondly, Somalia was opposing the establishment of Ethiopian military base in Somaliland. If Ethiopia does not get any military base in Somalia, it would be a big win for Somalia. But Somalia lost a lot. Somalia gave away its natural resources to Turkey. I have been saying that for almost a year, Hassan Sheikh should be very careful in dealing with Turkey. I have been covering Turkey for around 6 years, by the way. Erdogan uses religious cards, ethnic cards to intervene in conflicts. And there he sells weapons or he secures Turkey's economic benefits. I am not opposed to cooperation between Turkey and Somalia. No, they should cooperate, but Somalia should know how to protect, how to make the most of its natural resources. Frightened, under pressure, Hassan Sheikh government, I think, signed some deals with Turkey, which are beneficial for Turkey and not made public so far. Now, Ethiopia. PM Abiy has managed to ensure that Ethiopian troops will continue having military presence in Somalia. Other than that, Ethiopia has achieved nothing so far. It is now ready to roll back the MOU with Somaliland. It is ready to talk to Somalia to use Somalia's ports. It is ready to gain access to sea through Somalia under international law. The natural rights which PM Abiy talked about last year are nowhere to be seen. Abiy basically suffered a crushing diplomatic defeat. Why? For two reasons. Firstly, Somaliland election, I think, showed Abiy that maybe he won't be able to sign a final agreement with Somaliland. Abdirahman could change Somaliland's policy about MOU. Secondly, a diplomatic campaign launched by Somalia and regional allies of Somalia, they forced Ethiopia to delay the implementation of them. So basically, it's a diplomatic defeat for Ethiopian PM Abiy, I believe. Internally, you'll see people criticize him. His critics would use this opportunity to criticize him, to prove that he is not a leader with a vision. He makes big demands, he makes big claims, and then he just withdraws. What about Eritrea and Egypt? Isaac is happy, by the way. I would say he's more than satisfied because Abiy's diplomatic defeat is a win for Isaac. Afwerki has not lost anything in this agreement. Uh, Eritrea still training Somalia's forces. Egypt and Eritrea are waiting, I would say. They'll wait for the final agreement between Ethiopia and Somalia. A lot will happen in coming days. Will Egypt continue? Will Egypt now deploy its troops to Somalia? We'll have to wait to see that. If Egyptian troops enter Somalia, it means that Egypt, in the end, has not lost a lot. But if Egypt is not part of the next peacekeeping mission in Somalia, which we'll see in coming days, it would be definitely a big setback for Egypt. I don't see it. I don't see this development as a setback to Eritrea. Why? Because Eritrea, by aligning with Somalia, by aligning with Egypt, forced Ethiopia to review the MOU with Somalia. Afwerki played his cards very cleverly, I think. Hassan Sheikh used regional cards very cleverly, I think. But Hassan Sheikh government, you saw what happened to it in Jubaland. Hassan Sheikh government is really just restricted to Banade, to Mogadishu. It's now going to be difficult for any country to form strategic alliance with the federal government in Somalia because federal government now is very weak. Its forces cannot confront a regional state, let alone a foreign country. Shah joined to welcome Shah. He's complaining about notification not received about this live chat. Yeah, sometimes YouTube does not send you notifications. I have no role in it. YouTube sucks sometimes, I would say. So maybe that is why you didn't receive any notification. Now I'm here to read your comments and questions. Yemasgan joined to welcome Yemasgan. He says, Brother Sajid, Fano is uniting, Ola is splitting, TPLF bound down PP. Abiy thinks he can't be touched. Somalia need training. TPLF splitting, Ola splitting, Fano becoming more united. I agree. Ephraim says, Sajid, will Ethiopia now turn to Assam? Well, if Ethiopia turns to Assam, it perhaps will face uh, a more serious diplomatic challenge. Ethiopia will have to be careful now, I think. This regional ambition did not end up well. Escort did not receive a notification as well. I don't know what the problem is. Oromticha says a Pakistani mercenary named Pardes Musharraf is among the captured in Ras Kamboni. Aman Washe says Hassan Sheikh might have sold his country, but he was able to secure the sovereignty and integrity of Somalia. Uh, yeah, he managed to force Ethiopia from uh, considering the implementation of the MOU, but he'll have to review. I think he should review his government's deal with Somalia, and he should work a lot on building a strong military. Yamaskin says, how is Sarah doing? Hoping your family and daughters are doing great. Everyone is fine. Sarah are busy with their exams. They'll be free after a few days. Maybe then they'll do some videos. Yeah. Lilo says, Sajid, do you think that Ethiopia and Eritrea can go to war? Will the TPLF try to remove the caretaker government by force? Well, TPLF might make a move to remove Getachew government, but the likelihood of Ethiopia-Eritrea war is not very high, especially on Eritrean side. Eritrea does not want a war against Ethiopia now. Perhaps proxy wars might happen, but not a direct confrontation. I'm seeing in coming days, weeks, and months. Abdo says, appreciate you for your sweet analysis. Thank you, Abdo. John says, I feel personally Eritrea looks quite poor as a result of Abiy's politics. Abiy is doing a great job in that regard if that's what he wants. Well, on the issue of access to sea, I think Abiy has been changing his position. Last year, when he spoke about access to sea, he directed his talk at Eritrea. But, and before that speech of the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, I think he talked to Eritrea. He could not gain access to sea through Eritrea. Then he turned to Somaliland, and you saw how this adventure ended. Now he's going to start talks with Somalia. I think this issue of access to sea has been mishandled by the Ethiopian army. He made big claims and he united the region against Ethiopia. Jafar says, we'll know the true diplomatic winners and losers after the 4 month technical talks between Ethiopia and Somalia. It's too early to say who has lost now. I agree, Jafar, you're right. We'll see the real results after 4 months. But based on UNCLOS declaration, we can just build a sketch analysis, which we are trying to share with you, with other people, with the viewers. But you're right, I agree with you. We'll have to wait to see what happens after 4 months. Shafo says war between Ethiopia and Eritrea about to unfold. I don't think so. Why should Eritrea fight Ethiopia now when Ethiopia is already fighting an internal war against Fano fighters? Eritrea can back Fano fighters. Ethiopia, I think, will try to make a move into Eritrea through Eritrean opposition groups. And Eritrea is a very tightly controlled society, tightly controlled country. It would be difficult for any opposition group to make inroads into Eritrea. I don't see uh, one major factor which could lead to imminent war between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Samson says the excess he wants to have naval base, and obviously none of the neighboring countries allowed PM Abiy. Yeah, only Somaliland agreed to host Ethiopian military. But the declaration which Ethiopia and Somalia signed states that Ethiopia will have secure, reliable access to sea through Somalia. It means that the access to sea will be secure. Who will secure it? Ethiopia will secure it, or Somalia will secure it, or some third party. Suppose Ethiopia wants to gain access to Hobyo port, and it wants to ensure that all the way from Ethiopian border to Hobyo route is secure, and it demands the deployment of its forces there. It demands the deployment of its navy there on the port. Will Somalia reject this Ethiopian request? These are the questions which cannot be answered now. Ethiopia will try to have some form of military presence in Somalia along with sea access, I believe. University Abriha says, can Eritrean opposition remove Isas Afwerki while they were living in Western countries? Yeah, no one can remove Isas Afwerki by living in Canada, US, or Europe, or even in Ethiopia. I mean, I said it's a very tightly controlled society, tightly controlled country. It's difficult to make inroads into Eritrea. Aman Washe says, I think we as Ethiopian have some serious issues. Looks like we just want war. Guys, let's not wish for war. I think there are people, uh, uh, YouTubers, activists, journalists, who sell their content by building such provocative pictures as if war is about to happen. War sells, by the way. War sells in Ethiopian media, in Eritrean media as well. That is why they build such pictures, such likely scenarios of a war breaking out between Ethiopia and Eritrea, between Tigray and Eritrea, between Ethiopia and Somalia, etc. etc. So 35 minutes have passed. I think we should end the live chat. It was good to be with you. I'll be back tomorrow. Same time, I'll be back tomorrow. If you receive no notification, do just check the channel on this time. So for the next 2 days too, on Saturday, Sunday, we'll have live chats almost at the same time. It was good to be with you. We try to analyze the Ethiopia Somalia Ankara declaration, but in the end, we can say that we should wait maybe after the conclusion of technical talks between Ethiopia and Somalia, we can say who the real beneficiary of Ethiopia Somalia agreement is. We cannot say that Ethiopia has withdrawn from the MOU. MOU has been frozen, but Ethiopia has managed to continue having military presence in Somalia through Ankara and declaration. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Stay blessed. Bye bye.